know so well. Oh, horror, fantasy, the stories we tell. Sci-fi dreams where the stars collapse. Comic books stacked high in gaps. Mike and Tom, they light the flame. The first, the last, the Nerdom name. Voices sharp like the edge of time. Diving deep in a world sublime.
Hi, Tom. How you doing?
Good, Mike.
Welcome back to the First, the Last, the Nerdom, the podcast where we cover the first, the last, and all things that send shivers down fandom's spine. This week, we're diving headfirst into the unexpected horror phenomenon that's got everyone talking, the surprise breakout hit, Sinners. Emerging from the shadows with little fanfare and zero mercy, Sinners isn't just another scary movie, it's a full-blown reckoning. With its chilling mix of religious dread, raw psychological torment, and disturbingly grounded brutality, this film isn't just raising eyebrows, it's raising the stakes in modern horror. This is a movie that doesn't play by the rules. It doesn't just scare you, it dares you to keep watching. From its suffocating atmosphere to the relentless emotional weight, Sinners pushes the genre into a darker, more unflinching territory, challenging what we expect from horror and how far it's willing to go. We're breaking down its standout performance, twisted symbolism, and the ways to tap into deep-rooted guilt, judgment, and the fear that maybe, just maybe, we all have something to atone for. So lock the doors, dim the lights, and brace yourself because Sinners isn't just a movie. It's a test of your nerves and will shock your system. This week, we're putting our souls on the line here on the First, the Last, the Nerdom. Beautiful intro, Tom. Love it. Yeah. So
You brought your garlic, didn't you?
I did. I sure as hell did. And before we get to the main event, which is I'm very excited to cover, I want to do our bona fides. So we have the bona fides there. This is our home base, our home channel. Always, you will find us on YouTube at FirstLastNerdom. Very simple to find. Or if you find us here or there, we'll see if we have. It should show us. Yep, awesome. Yeah, I just had to refresh the page. Well, and anyway, before I go, I'm going to hand it off to you so you can do a little bit of stumping for our social medias.
Why, sure. I promote us on Reddit. I found some subreddits that'll let us promote on it. I knew we did a week of Cyberpunk. We just finished up, so if you like Cyberpunk, you might want to check that out. There's a sci-fi subreddit. I started testing their nerves. A few of them started saying, "Stop spamming."
Yeah, whatever.
I was like, okay. But if you saw us on Reddit and decided to check us out, hello, and hope you enjoy our content. And then I'm also on X. I promote our stuff there. So if you want to get the latest, greatest, and of our podcast that's out, follow us there. I'll let you know when it's out.
Oh yeah,
And,
hey, real quick on you, I saw your Twin Peaks thing. It was really cool. Actually, this past weekend, they had David Lynch on TCM, and I got to watch a couple of things that I had never watched before, so that was really cool. And I recorded them too.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, I am also on X, ApeIt.Ink, as well as America's Talk Show, where I co-host the Late Show Monday through Friday at I think it's 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. So go check us. Go check me out there if you want to have a little bit heavier form of content. And again, weekly Sunday show, which I co-host with Professor Kinney and the immortal and legendary Andre Dobriowski. And that's a little bit more serious kind of talk show. We model ourselves after every other cool thing we've seen news related, and of course long form. Which shame on me, I need to get back on the stick and write a few more articles here. I need to blow the dust off and go. But as always, like I said, more importantly, we are the First Last Nerdom on YouTube. And this week, we are hopping into the fire, into the sunlight, and staying
Mhm.
there. Like this film, this was Ryan Coogler's. Like we mentioned in the intro, this kind of came out of nowhere. And at
Mhm.
first, it was just not really talked about, and then all of a sudden, people started talking about it, and I remember, because I got a chance to go see this in the theater, and I enjoyed it very much. And then we did the rewatch because you noticed that it came out on X, which you can
Or
see there.
Max, you mean?
Yeah, Max, HBO, or excuse me, you're right, HBO. Yeah, I see the X on the stupid thing because it's
Yeah, yeah.
broke dick Twitter or whatever you want to call it. I'm just joking, but no, excuse me, you're right. You're right. On HBO, aka Max, it was very quality was pretty good. I enjoyed it. From that, didn't have a problem with that. So this one is one that we had picked out, or you had picked out. You had highlighted it, and we had kind of going in. What man? I'm really curious to see what your thoughts were. There is so much to say about this, and we're gonna pin it at probably about an hour, so or we'll see how long it goes. But
Right, yeah.
regardless, this one, man, this when I saw this in the theater, like I kind of walked out kind of dazed, a little bit, like not I don't know how I feel, which is usually a good sign for a horror, because that usually means there's some kind of a psychological kind of mind fuckery going on. Pardon my language. But anyway, what do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah.
Overall,
Yeah, I didn't unfortunately I didn't get to see it in the theater, but yeah, I did see the trailer in the theater, and I forget it was some horror movie I went to see that I saw it on, and it intrigued me. It's like okay, vampires. Well, yeah, vampires. I was like, well, that could go good, it could go bad. Vampires is that's not a guarantee of a solid movie, but Ryan Coogler has a pretty decent track record. So let's see what he could do. But yeah, I did get to see it in the theater, and then when I saw it pop up on Max, I was like, okay, cool. And but by the time I got to see it on Max, all the hype's been, the hype's a two-edged sword. Sometimes it'll hype up something so big that there's no way it can meet the expectations.
sure, very true,
And
very true.
because yeah, everybody was like, oh yeah, you got to see this, it's amazing. A lot of people I trust was saying, yeah, it's really good. And so yeah, and also the runtime. I've gotten to be a big advocate for shorter movies. And the 2 hour and 18 minute runtime was like, oh man, okay, that may be pushing it. But yeah, so yeah, the certain things were kind of stacked up against it. I was pleasantly surprised. So those that just decided to check us out without knowing anything, Sinners is it's set in the 1930s, right?
Yep,
And it's it's about these African American guys that come back from being in Chicago, and they want to go back to their hometown in Mississippi, and decide to open up a juke joint with the money that they've accrued.
yep.
And the place their opening night gets crashed by vampires. This is the basic storyline. But yeah, there's so much more to this, which hopefully we can do justice to. There's a lot going on here.
There is a lot going on, and they packed a lot. You wouldn't think that they could pack so much into the thing, but like just when you think that like this really does is moves in acts, act one, act two, act, thing, because
Yeah.
it just is very interesting. Where you think it's going to go is not where it goes, and where it kind of tricks you, fakes you out a little bit.
Yeah, it
For
kind of sets it up as a maybe a straightforward kind of drama. Maybe the first half or first quarter of it is sort of kind of setting it up as a kind of a traditional kind of
right,
story. About these guys, and to be honest, if it had played out as said drama, it would have probably worked. But much like Ryan Coogler in the interview did say he was inspired by this, but very much like From Dusk Till Dawn, it takes a sharp turn and becomes like a horror vampire story.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is that you can because horror is such a rich and a deep genre, and we kind of had this conversation, kind of sort of funny way of having a conversation of like, is horror political, and the
Hmm.
and the answer
Yeah.
is, it's up to you, the viewer, what you bring and what you see. It really is,
What you want to,
especially when you
yeah.
have such a good, talented director and write. I believe he, yeah, in writer, yeah, I was right, yeah,
Hmm.
writer director, which is one of my favorite combos, and it can go south too. Just because they're
Oh,
a
yeah.
writer doesn't mean that they're going to be a good director, and vice versa. But Ryan
Hmm.
Coogler is one that he lands squarely. So it's so beautiful because you can call this political, deeply political. You could call it deeply cultural, akin to black culture and the black experience in America. You can call it
Hmm.
genuinely entertaining, how it presents itself, how these kind of themes are mixed and matched, and the ending, and how you get to the conclusion, which is it a conclusion? That kind of thing. Like these are all things that. But anyway, like you were saying, to help set the stage, it's it's
Yeah.
got a that it's pretty good. You'd almost call it a heavy period piece. As
Hmm.
far as it goes.
Oh, it's funny. I read where the I guess there were much to your chagrin, they put the movie Blade on hold, and
Okay.
evidently there was going to be some period historical section of Blade where I guess it goes back to the 1930s.
Interesting.
They've put Blade on hold indefinitely, and
Okay.
so Sinners bought all the costumes with the wardrobe from Blade from them, so that they since it's already made, might as well grab that. But yeah, I thought that was interesting that Marvel sold them that. I'm sure it's good faith to Ryan Coogler, since he's did so much for them with Black Panther.
Yeah, I believe.
But yeah, yeah.
I was just gonna say real quick. I
Mhm.
love the ones I love. I also am a sucker for a movie that, or I can be a sucker, I should say, when it does proper world building. So hats off to Hannah Beachler, who I believe she was head of the production design. There,
Yeah.
but she did a great job, and they all the
Hmm.
whole cast, they really made it work. And
Hmm.
you're in the Mississippi Delta.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that first section, some maybe complain that it may be over long, and maybe they could trimmed it a little bit, but yeah, it really sets the stage, and you really get invested in the characters, so that a lot of the things with the horror movies is a lot of times they don't spend a lot of time developing the characters, so that
Right,
when all the carnage happens, either to the benefit of the horror, so maybe you don't want to get too invested if you're going to do elaborate funny kills to people. You don't want to be really emotionally attached to them before you kill them off. Or like in this movie, you want to have you emotionally attached to these people, so that when things go wrong, that you are emotionally attached, and
right.
you're invested, and you don't want bad things to happen to them. So it rises that tension that much more. So,
Yeah,
and and also, if they didn't develop the characters enough, or we're giving you a lot of background information on these characters that don't pay off, then also that would be kind of a waste. But he does pay off, and I will say, there's you kind of with the movie like that, you're talking about how it could be political or whatnot.
right,
I like the fact that it's not front and center. It's not like the movie's not preaching to you. It's mainly wanting to tell a good story, and any good story anyone can listen to and get something out of. And I always call it the after school special effect. You don't want you don't want the message, or the if there is a message, you don't want that to be front and center to the
right.
point that it overshadows the story, and it becomes more important than the story, because the story here is something really engaging. You wanna sink your teeth into.
For pun intended. Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
to kind of go back to what you were saying about
Mhm.
people saying I could see that, but I would counter that with by saying nobody even in any given scene or scenes in this movie or sequence rather, nobody's standing around. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Everything is kind of weighted in its approach. So I could see like maybe this or that, but really, I mean, the lingering shot of the of the field, or
Mhm.
not the field, but the I
Yeah.
was going to say the lingering night shots, kind of contrasting the outside and inside. It also is
Mhm.
very layered too.
Yeah.
And I guess to kind of skirt around bigger issues, I guess would be, you know, this is a movie where there's an inside and an outside.
Mhm.
And it's also there's also if I was smarter on music, I could probably say something to that to how that it's not just music you're hearing, it's also expression of another form, which
Mhm.
is there. But and it does it beautifully. It tells a beautiful story. And at one scene, or couple scenes, it kind of reminded me a little bit of Tarantino, but completely different.
Mhm.
I mean, and it had a kind of ideas there, but like whereas Tarantino's a little bit more flatter. This had such
Mhm.
rich layers in it, which is so different than what you would get. But you also get that kind of very muscular action too. that
Yeah.
that
Yeah, and,
you could argue that it's an action movie. Really, I mean, there are really some scenes that where it really blended the line of horror. But then again, some horror have that has that part of the plot like where you kind
Right,
of have a
exactly.
showdown or a reckoning or whatever you want to call it. Or a wounding, so to speak. But anyway, I'll hand
Yeah.
it back to you.
Yeah, and I think Ryan Coogler, yeah, he's had to, he's you know had the properties and movies that he's been making, for the most part, has been franchise things that he did bring some of his creative talent to, but they're already properties that were already defined, that he wasn't making them out of whole cloth. So this movie was, I guess, you know one of those that he could throw everything, and I think, like a lot of writer directors, with their first attempt at this, they're wanting to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, in there, to get everything in there. Now sometimes that it doesn't always work, and maybe you make it overcrowded. But to be honest, I every time I got the feeling that he may be putting too much in, he kind of pays it off. So
Hmm.
it's I was puzzled. He's juggling a lot of things, and like you said, there's a lot of different influences, and you can see
A
the
lot.
influences in
I mean, a
there.
lot.
And but they all kind of work together. It's not like, he's not just throwing it in there just to be throwing it in there. It's all a piece of the puzzle that kind of pays off. I was really impressed, because every time he would throw something up there, I was like, oh, he's going to do this now, but then I go, okay, well, that works. So I'm impressed.
Well, like I said, when I say that there's layering in this, it's not just like a plain layer. Okay, it's a very
Mhm.
complicated woven thing that's laid down first, and then you have another layer, and so this is like one of those fun movies to talk about because there's so much to get dig into. Like the pretty dumb one, like a fifth grader one. Like there one in one of the scenes, like in about midway through the movie, or third away, 40% away through maybe. It was like when they're at the juke, and this is kind of sorry, kind of going back. They buy this they buy this old sawmill or whatever the hell it was, and then they turn it into a nightclub essentially,
Mhm. Yeah.
a jute, as they call it. And when they're doing the big, couple of the music scenes, like it's also kind of cool to touch on this real quick. There are some period pieces like where they kind of flirt with music, but you never hear anything, or you never see a band play, or it's just in the background, or it's not really a
Mhm.
focus. This one is completely
Yeah.
different. It's a focus, but they kind of show the time in one of that scene that I'm talking about. They kind of show the timelessness of music. Essentially, is what you're. I mean, I'm sure somebody could see something else, but you kind of
Mhm.
see how music is over time, and that's time is a very critical part of this movie and how it plays with that a little bit. I'll leave it there, but
Yeah, that was I think you're what you're leading to. Yeah, that was the only there were some things that I had problems with, and I think that was one of the scenes I did
mm,
where there's a scene, yeah, where preacher boy's playing a song and he's invoking the past and the future, and I don't know, I was very invested in the movie, very much in the movie, but when the future, I'll just say the future elements were popping up, it threw me out of the movie, and I was kind of chuckling, and it's like,
that's
okay,
funny.
what's going on here? And I don't know, it did play off well for me. Maybe it played off for other people. That element just didn't kind of threw me out for a little bit in the movie, but then
No,
I
I
was
could see
back
that.
in once you
Yeah,
once you got in there.
I was too for a little bit, and then I kind of like relaxed. I kind of saw it for
But
what.
I think when the booty shaking was happening, it just kind of threw me out a little
Yeah, yeah. Well, it kind of reminded me of
bit.
like a um I don't know, like I didn't write my notes down like I should have, but um and I remember when I saw this in the theater too, like I was like, but seeing it on the second time, like it makes more sense, I guess. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. But I could
Mhm.
see that. It's valid.
Yeah.
It's a fair point because it kind of does that though a little bit. And you're
Mhm.
kind of already in horror. You're kind of allowed a certain amount of degrees away from reality like that. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
In some ways, but the way that it did it was not typical. Like like usually the whole
Right.
point of reality is that vampires, for example, but you're kind of already in this world here, like where it's also telling you another story, and they spend a lot of time building up the characters and their story arc and where they're coming from, and they're very complicated characters. They're not
Mm.
simple. Oh,
Yeah.
you're just a poor kid, and you know how to
Yeah.
play
I think
the couple tunes or so.
yeah.
It's not like that at all.
Yeah, no, maybe they didn't want to get too heavy-handed with it, but I think they are from the very start of the movie, they're kind of putting the forth the idea, the story, like you said, the storyteller, the music person, telling the stories and how that's very much important to the various cultures and societies and stuff. But I don't know if they've really developed that enough for me in the for it to really pay off. Everything else is well developed and pays off accordingly. But I don't know that portion of it just didn't. It seemed a little unfinished. I didn't quite get the full effect of that. Although one of the movies that did make put me in mind of because this is again there's a lot of elements to this movie, but a big element is the music, and there it's front and center, and it doesn't just cut off after a little bit. A lot of the songs almost get played to completion, and kind of remind me, especially because it was also a period piece, was "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?"
Right,
It kind of
right.
had that same kind of musical vibe to it. And
Yeah,
also, surprisingly, I read where Ryan Coogler had the rhythm and the beat of the movie in his mind, and you wouldn't think it, but he did say that Metallica and their early music was what really inspired him and
hmm,
wanted him the song, especially Metallica's song One. Was very influential in the beat and the rhythm of this movie, and in fact, Lars Ulrich played the drums in the orchestra for this movie.
really, that's awesome. Yeah, I was gonna say also a unique characteristic because you kind of see they're twins that are World War One veterans, and they work for gangsters, afterwards, and then they're making their way in the world, so to speak. But Michael B. Jordan played both those parts, so that was he did double time, double duty, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, when Hollywood does this, it doesn't work all that well sometimes, but it worked perfectly for this. They kind of differentiated them just enough to where they were their own characters, and you bought
Yeah,
into
you were
them,
never confused who was who. Yeah.
which was really nice too. Was very very good,
Yeah.
very good fine touch. Like so, yeah. There's not a lot of like head scratching moments, like where you have, and that's why this movie to me feels so good of quality. To kind of be fair, the scene that you had mentioned that you just didn't quite buy. Yeah, I could see that. That would probably be the only like really head scratching moment. Unless you want to get into the weeds and debate certain other parts. But there's another part that I'll touch on as we go along here that might be debatable. We'll see, but
Yeah.
it didn't run it for me or change it or alter it or whatever. But you have this natural, this very strong father son back and forth kind of going on as well. And that is also echoed in a couple other, you call it big brother, little brother kind of dichotomy, so to speak, or dad, son, whatever you want. And they even, I don't, they touched on the feminine a little bit too, but it was mainly about these three characters, these Michael B. Jordan's two characters, and of course, Sam.
Yeah. Preacher boy.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this was Miles' first movie.
Was it? Really?
Maybe, maybe not. I thought it was.
Yeah, it looks like
But
it.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so he did an excellent job, and he kind of held his own. Because Michael B. Jordan really brought it to the table with this role. With his two roles.
Right.
Yeah, and in fact, getting serious, so I'll crack open my boomer juice. But yeah, the acting acting overall was excellent for everybody. Actually, there was some like, and also everybody. Even the minor characters were intriguing. Like you kind of wanted to know more.
Right.
There's a Chinese family
Mm-hmm.
that owns the grocery store on the black side and the white side of
Right.
town, and they had their young daughter running back and forth, communicating with them. I was kind of intrigued by the young daughter. He's like, what's going on with her? And then and also like we get introduced to their bouncer Cornbread. He's out in the field picking cotton when they first arrive, and
Right.
he introduces his wife, and his wife's such an interesting character. Just in the few moments you get to know her, that you wouldn't mind knowing more about her, and the love interest to preacher boy, Perline. She's engaging. We know that she has an interesting backstory because she's married,
Mm-hmm.
and she's flirting and making out with Sammy. But yeah, we never really get to know too much about her.
No,
And
no. It's mainly about these three
you're kind of
characters. Yeah.
intrigued.
Yeah. And, and,
Mhm.
and what you're essentially, I don't want to give away too much, but I'll just put this like that, like this, like in a way, I can't think of a better way to put it, but it's what how pivotal one day can be. Which also, again, it kind of plays with time, which is what I was alluding to before. I guess that would be a better way to put it. Like this time period, the day, the events, kind of going into it, which is very interesting. That I found fascinating. But yeah,
Yeah.
Sammy Miles, he is gonna be he's gonna be great if he chooses to do more acting. So I hope he does, or whatever his passion is. I
or
hope. What's that?
or if he wants to get into music,
Absolutely.
he did pretty solid job
Oh, you're
singing and playing
phenomenal.
the guitar in this movie
Absolutely.
as well. Yeah,
Yeah, and of course, you have the other actors and actresses too. But
yeah, that
really,
was his. Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, it really is good. Like you can see vampire horror, period drama, drama horror, thriller, even too, psychological thriller. I would argue, because that's like, I love that tension. I love that, like when there's just this wonderful seesaw of tension, which could, to be fair, it could have easily been. I'll just put it. I'll be frank. They could have easily fucked it up. If with that, but it had such a good balance. Like, it didn't make you kind of get tired of the same type, thing going on. But
Yeah. Yeah, and it's again, it's not a franchise film.
mm-mm, no,
It's wonderful being able to see a story that self-contained. They ask Ryan if he's going to make a sequel to it, and he's like, "No, this this is its story, yeah." Which it's the vampires, you could do whatever. And also, interestingly enough, there was a bidding war for this movie, obviously, and I think it said that this movie is going to revert back to him in 25 years. He'll get total control,
really,
total ownership of it.
that's
So yeah,
that's
that's
very
interesting.
interesting. Yeah, that's a
Yep.
long period.
Which is,
That's a long time though. But God bless him.
yeah, but you got to think about the future. But yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's, I guess, but yeah, it's yeah. No, the vampires are interesting in this. There's a little bit. They put a little bit of a their own kind of spin on it, but it's also
Right.
traditional. The vampires have to be invited in, and that plays a huge part of the story of how they're going to get into this
And,
club.
and everyone in this movie is just beautiful. They're just really they're a very, very good looking cast, just in general.
Mhm,
There's not like,
mhm.
I mean, everybody just played their part very well. And there were just again, they did such a great job with the tension building. Okay, these are a lot of red carpet picks here, but oh yeah, I was gonna say too. Uh, Delroy Lindo, he also did a fantastic job too, and of course,
Yep,
Omar
and
Benson,
cornbread. Yeah,
yeah, who kind of reminds you almost in some ways of other famous actors
yeah.
who are just so big and and imposing.
Mhm. Yeah, who is it that oh,
The
yeah, yeah.
you know who I'm talking about, the
Mhm.
Forrest Whitaker. Forrest Whitaker.
Yep,
He
that's it. Yeah, that's
I
definitely
mean,
he has that
not
vibe
for
to him. Yeah.
yeah, not Forrest Whitaker directly, but like you could see
All
like
right.
where if he was, you would not question if it was like his brother or cousin
Yeah.
or something, or son, well, not son, but yeah,
Yeah.
but anyway,
Yeah, he
again,
definitely has that vibe to him, yeah.
so you're going to be seeing you're going to be seeing a lot of these people, if they're unknown and they choose to have an acting career. Hopefully they understand like what talent is before them. They will snap onto that. And also Haley Steinfeld was also excellent in this.
Yeah.
Wumi Musaku probably won that. But yeah, oh yeah, there's just so much illusionary talk, of good and
Yeah.
evil, and not really.
Yeah, and
They really didn't say anything about good and evil, which I loved. That was one thing, and then
yeah.
the other thing, but they did kind of show you what happens if you don't let go, or if how helpless you really are was another message, but a lot of
Yeah.
messages. But what do you think
Yeah,
of that? What struck you the
yeah, no,
most about that push pull?
yeah. Well, the blues has a history with the devil. Robert Johnson was infamously said to have sold his soul to the devil to be able to play the guitar, and so yeah, that has that fact that vampire plays in nicely with the devil aspect, and and there's that sense of like you said, of being well. The name of the movie is really apropos. Sinners.
Hmm.
These people are essentially good solid people, but they're struggling with their faults, the things that they've that they see are sins, or their past sins that they're dealing with. And the vampires, if you're making a really good vampire story, the vampires, their position is supposed to be inviting, and very, when the head vampire is trying to make his case to them, it is, I don't know about you, but I was thinking, being his offer is not too bad,
Right,
get to
right,
live forever ever. And there's this with him, he's not a racist vampire. He's willing to accept everybody, and he's wanting Sammy, because he's so intrigued by his music, and his in love with his music. And
well, and
and there's that music is really built into this vampire lifestyle where everybody's
right.
family.
Yeah, and I will say too, they do slip around kind of the dumb characteristics of like a vampire film, like with rules, right? Okay, so they're in horror movies, some horror films, there are rules, and it's kind of fun to figure it out, whatever. Some are very tropey, and they're kind of, you can see them a mile away, and they're not really important to the story, but there
Mhm.
is kind of this fishiness of like, they're very smart at first, of like, one, it's an all, it's all black, 1930s, all black, hangout spot,
Mhm.
speakeasy, whatever, whatever you want to call it, a jute.
Mhm.
Obviously that's what it is. But and then, three friggin' white people, two white men and a white woman just roll up out of nowhere with friggin' banjos. There's a
Uh,
saying of don't trust the guy with the banjo or whatever. And that's a pretty, I mean, it's kind of painted like that. It's not, we're not giving anything away. They tell you
yeah,
this right
yeah.
away, because you kind of see you see the setup for it. And I love how they don't waste time when they set this up. So if they're showing you something, it is important to see. It is important to watch it, and you get something from it
Mhm.
aside from like filler.
Mhm.
I don't think that there was any. And this is the difference between a great movie and a good movie. A good movie will have some
Mhm.
kind of filler that they could have cut, or whatever. Whereas this,
Mhm.
in my opinion, is more on the great side. Spoiler warning, not really. Um, like that is able to stick the landing. I suppose, for
Yeah.
what it's trying to do. And anyway, we didn't even mention Michael B. Jordan's, the twins are Smoke and Stack.
Yeah.
And Smoke is a little bit more hesitant to look inside, a little bit more introspective. And yeah, he shows his way of dealing with loss in a different way, whereas Stack is a little bit more hot-headed and willing to kind of go after, kind of thing. So
Mhm.
again, because he plays them so well, you accept them to be different, unique characters unto
Yeah.
them, and it's not just
Yeah.
some rich Hollywood actor just playing doubles because the script called for it, like.
Yeah. Maybe he gets paid double. No, but no, yeah, it's yeah, he does develop them enough to yeah, and then that's one of the benefits of the lead up in the movie, that you do get to, that one point they separate and you get to know them as individuals,
It,
and see who they are and
right.
what makes them, those individually tick. And also it gives Sammy time to kind of develop, and you kind of there's that you know uh character progression with Sammy, and
Hmm.
he's sort of like their student. He's learning the lessons, and you see him learning lessons at the beginning of the movie from them, and then putting them in action
Yep.
on the second half of the movie.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, so that's interesting. Another thing that I was really intrigued and I liked about this movie is, there's a scene where they're trying to determine who's maybe a vampire and who maybe isn't, and they know that vampires don't like garlic, so
Right.
they're all having to take a little bit of garlic and eat it. And some people are eating a clove of garlic's not no picnic. So but that was very reminiscent to a scene in The Thing where
Yep.
they're all
Oh
testing the
yeah.
blood.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure that was a very conscious nod to it. And was reading that I really picked up on that, and then on IMDb their little trivia thing. I was kind of reading through that, and someone even extrapolated a little bit further. I don't know uh, if they're just kind of forcing this on it, but the beginning of the thing starts with this dog being chased by these Norwegians, and
Hmm.
the Americans, save the dog and whatnot. And the person said, this when you first get introduced to the vampire, that's sort of the way it's set up, like the thing, because he's being
Right.
chased by these Indians, and he goes to this white couple to get saved. And they don't take the warning from the Indians.
No.
And I would say
Which
the Indians looked pretty badass in this
I
movie.
I I,
I
I
wanted to
gotta
know
say,
more about them.
no, no, no. That's the beautiful part of the world building. It did such a good job of that world building. It makes you curious about other
Mhm,
parts of the world,
mhm,
And I was gonna say too, before we forget, or
mhm,
don't pass on it, Smoke, his main, excuse me, I did not. I thought no, I think I did the right one. Excuse me. Yeah, I think was it Ruthie was plays his love interest.
no, I think it
No,
was,
I was trying to find the other because
mhm,
we saw her. Was it
yeah.
her? Well, shame on me for not having that, and shame on them for not having it. But
Mhm.
anyway, it was the Woomy. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Well, I mean, it does matter. But Ruth, like she plays it like her and Smoke have this. They had a daughter together, and that
Mhm,
this daughter passed away. So really, every one of these characters has some kind of loss, which obviously fits into the blues. But there are
mhm,
these relationships like to where both Smoke and Stack kind of push people away, like because they
mhm.
know they know what they're doing. I think that's them trying to maybe shield their loved ones or the ones that they love the most. And shit, I mean, that's that conversation is essentially right, right smack dab
Mhm,
in so much as like at one point too, but it's not
mhm.
it's not too expositionary like that. It's a lot smoother than what I'm relaying, but you don't question it because it fits in with the tension already there. But anyway,
Yeah, yeah. Another, well, yeah, we've been praising this movie, which it deserves. The one thing that kind of pulled me out of the movie, the that one scene we already talked about kind of pulled me out. But
right,
another thing was this darn aspect ratio. I don't know if you noticed it that much, but it went from the super wide to 16:9. Kept flipping all throughout the movie, and I was like, "What the hell?" And I kept thinking, "Well, why are they doing this?" And then I thought, "Oh, well, he's probably doing a Christopher Nolan," which come to find out he was. I can understand like theatrically, especially if you saw it on IMAX. Basically, what Christopher Nolan did and what he's doing is on the big action scenes or the big emotional scenes. He switches to IMAX, which is a why is a fuller. I
yep,
forget the complete aspect ratio of it, but it feels almost almost square like. Whereas and then it would switch back to the super wide, which is the strip with the black on the top and the bottom, which is probably more effective in the theater, and then I think his thing is that he wants you to see this in the theater,
right,
but but
perfect.
on the TV screen it makes no damn sense to keep switching from the different aspect ratio. That just kept annoying me. It's,
Oh,
come
did
on,
it?
man.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I was watching on the in the living room, and it
Mhm.
didn't bother me too much. Like it didn't pull me up, but I think it was there for the world building, is where I
Mhm.
probably didn't notice it as much. But no, I could see that, and sadly, I did not see it in IMAX. I saw it a little bit too late when it was already gone.
Yeah.
From the but still on the big screen, it would this would have been perfect too. And I like that they do this. IMAX is kind of like the only thing left for a
Hmm.
specific reason to go to the theater. Period. If you want to see something,
Hmm.
like if it's shot in
Hmm.
IMAX, it's the preferred one. Certainly true for
Hmm.
doing. It is worth seeing it in IMAX. So I will say that, like, now, is it worth it to go wait and go see it in the theater? Well, for this one, yeah, it was, but other ones, unfortunately, and they're not always, up to par. But we've had quite a few good IMAX type movies lately. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
good for them
yeah.
for actually using it.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, there's not like a IMAX close to me. But
Right,
yeah, so I don't have the available to me to see.
right.
But yeah. And shout out. A lot of times during this movie, they kept talking about Little Rock. So shout out to Little Rock, Arkansas.
They
It's
did, they
close
did.
to me.
Yeah, yeah, and they
So
mentioned
I
Memphis
got
too,
tickled.
and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, the classic South. Yeah, no, there. I will say that, like, this was a love letter to the theatrical experience. If you were fortunate enough
Mhm.
to go see it in IMAX, I'll put it that way. But the
Yeah.
bigger the screen, the better. Whatever. And at the end of the day,
Mhm.
if you're holding your phone like that, that far away from you. I mean, it's not that bad. But yeah,
Mhm.
I want it almost. I don't know that I would want like a sequel to this, per se, or a prequel, but I would be very curious to know more about this world,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
there
Well,
goes the temptation for a friend, for something like this to become
well,
something
yeah,
more. I don't know. I'm not saying that it is, but
yeah. Well, know that this is kind of set in probably Ryan Coogler's head for a long time, and he's kind of had time to ruminate and kind of develop the story and develop the characters over time.
right,
So,
right,
a sequel you would really have to be on par. The reason why you'd want to do a sequel, um, creatively is to maybe develop and bring the story even further.
sure,
You don't want to make a lesser. Unless you're just trying to make money,
right,
yeah, you want to make it if not on par with the first movie, maybe even expand it more. So yeah, I wouldn't want like another like a quick knockoff movie. I'd want something that kind of develops it further. And we won't get too much spoiler with the
no,
ending, but yeah, this movie seems I will say this, it seems like it's wrapping up around the 2 hour mark. Why is there another 25 minutes left of this movie? Because I was looking at my watch, because things seem to be kind of wrapping up, and then there's an element that's introduced early on in the movie that comes around at the end, that you almost forgot about. That you're like, oh wow, we're going to do this now, and
right,
then now it could have been. They did it in a way that made it justified. For the runtime, is like, okay, well, why are we doing this? And you go, oh, okay, this makes sense. Okay, because there's a sort of like a vignette at the end of it, like
sure,
you alluded to with kind of wrapping up what that character his sort of story arc, and then after that there's more false ending than a slasher movie. You think this movie's going to end, and there's another one,
I
and then there's
know, I
another one.
know, yeah,
But yeah, they each pay off. Like the very end epilogue cap. You're like, oh wow, we're jumping to time now. But that also pays off, and then I will shout out the Arsenio Hall sweater that makes an appearance in hairstyle.
yeah. There's a it was. It doesn't they do the again, the production design so well. You don't have any question as to, like, what time period you're in. Like, you understand that you're sometime. So just alone, the what, and again, not to get into spoiler territory, because this is brand new out there, and we would prefer you to go see it and make up your own mind. But you're right. I was like, kind of like, oh, nope. Nope. It keeps going. And then when they play with that, it just begs for, like, I'm not saying the same characters need to be coming back. I'm just saying that, like, I don't quite. it's a weird one, like where you want more, but you don't, but you wouldn't want, you wouldn't want this to be touched or ruined in any way, in general, like, because that's what happened. Like you
Right.
just clearly, like you beautifully articulated, it kind of
Mhm.
brings that notch down, especially if
Mhm.
if the sequel or the prequel doesn't, measure up. But who knows, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
anything could
In
happen.
fact,
Anything
yeah.
could happen.
Mhm. Right. Yeah. Sorry
No,
to
you're fine.
to double over you on you, but yeah, actually, you brought up a interesting thing. Yeah, I wouldn't mind maybe a prequel, like you said, with
Hmm.
maybe the Irish vampire. I was kind of intrigued by his
Right.
backstory,
Right.
and it's kind of interesting where Ryan pulled his inspirations. The evil vampire.
Hmm.
He said that he was inspired by I guess the villain in the last Puss in Boots movie. He
Really?
was inspired by the look of him,
That's
so with the eyes. So so yeah, I guess yeah, I guess like any great artist, you pull inspiration from all sorts of different various sources. But yeah, yeah, pretty very solid a solid movie. I very much enjoyed it. And in fact, I enjoyed this way more than any of his franchise movies. I enjoyed Black Panther, but I wasn't overwhelmed with it like a lot of people were. And I haven't seen Creed, to be honest, so that one may be like an amazing. I've heard really good
I
things about, but
I really enjoyed Black Panther 2019. Wakanda Forever, it is what it is. So like it's I'm not saying it sucks. I'm just it's just not up there in my but it is what it is.
Mhm.
So but then again, you have to go see these things and make up your own mind. But this
Mhm.
was just so out of left field, unexpected,
Mhm.
unknown.
Mhm.
And when you have like kind of as connected as we are today, like when you hear word of mouth from somebody who did see it, and you're like, oh really, you kind of take notice. And I'm certainly glad I
Mhm.
did, because it's so thick. It has it almost leaves you with a malaise,
Mhm.
of like you just don't know.
Mhm.
You kind of see it, and it
Yeah.
expectation breaking in the best way possible,
Mhm.
for you to make up
Yeah.
your own mind. What I mean, there's
Yeah.
just so many things, and you can't park this into like one category, or you really can't. I mean, aside from
Mhm.
obviously it's horror or whatever, but that's a little
Yeah.
bit different. I just mean like you can't put there are certain labels that are out in today's society, that are kind of
Mhm.
lend themselves to be overused and grifterified. And I did not get any of that, and I'm so glad. And actually, the people that I respect that have a good, solid, critical, I mean, really critical opinion, not just blowing at the wind, or somebody
Mhm.
moonlighting as a movie buff, or a
Mhm.
movie journalist, or entertainment journalist, or critic, or whatever. Although all the ones I got a really good solid check, and that's kind of a good balance point of like if your critic is worth a damn, or if
Yeah.
you should even be opening up your Yap, aside from like if it's just a paycheck for you, which is God bless you, go do that if you gotta do what you gotta do. But I really enjoyed this. It was just, again, it pulls you in. And I don't know, what did you
Yeah.
think? Were you satisfied with the ending? Were you, aside from the couple scenes that you said, I mean, did it work for you? Did it because
Yeah.
kind of the more I think about it, the more I kind of do want, I mentioned a prequel or something. I don't think a sequel would work very well for this, but this would be a rare instance where I would say this, it might. There's a lot of
Yeah.
doubt
Yeah.
into that statement too, but
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes it's
Yeah. I
better to
think
leave well enough alone.
absolutely. Yeah, I think if he had stopped at one of the endings that he
Hmm.
had, maybe there would be room for a sequel. But yeah, I think he plays out
Hmm.
a lot of those characters
Pretty
to the
completely.
point where there's not really, like you said, there's not a lot of meat for a sequel to hang its
Sure.
coat on unless you introduce a group of different other characters maybe. or maybe various family members. Actually, could be interesting is the with the Chinese family, the daughter, you could maybe build off, for what her reaction to what happened, when she finds out what happens, that could be interesting. But yeah, there's a few little nuggets there where you could maybe take some of the side characters and develop them to an interesting story. But yeah, no, with a movie that takes a lot of influences and you see the influences
Mm,
throughout the movie, um, uh, you run the risk of having the movie hang off of those influences to the
right.
point where it becomes predictable. You know what's going to happen because you've seen those other movies. This movie doesn't do that. It takes those inspirations and plays with them. But the places he goes in the movie are pretty unpredictable. I kind of had anybody has sort of like a preconceived ideas when they're going into a movie. Kind of even if you know nothing about it, you see the movie poster or image, you start to develop an idea of what the movie is going to play out. This movie kind of challenges those. It takes it in different directions, like when the vampires start happening. You almost think that there was going to be kind of a balls out kind of situation, and then they sort of kind of develops into that. But there's like a big calm portion of it where they're just kind of coming to grips with things, and then it almost kind of cuts the flow of the movie to the
Mm,
point where it almost the movie almost starts over again. And then there's this development and this ramp up to the action, and that was kind of an interesting way of doing it. But yeah, I enjoyed the movie tremendously, and I think the more I think about it, the more I start to get out of the movie, and that's one of those benefits of this movie.
right.
But yeah, I did not I saw it on Max, because I only buy I used to buy movies all the time even if I
Right.
hadn't seen them, but I've gotten to where with budgetary reasons and the cost of these 4Ks, you kind of want to make sure you really want to see these movies again before you buy them. But because there is a 4K, a nice probably a nice 4K out there
Oh yeah.
of this movie. But after seeing it, I probably will eventually get that on 4K. I did watch it on Max. I will tell you, if you do watch it on Max, stay through the credits. A lot of times on
Hmm.
those streaming services, if there's like a little extra Easter egg in the extras, they how when the movie ends, it kind of zoops up and it tries to get you to watch something else.
Right.
But if there's like a little Easter egg, it'll stay on there until that Easter egg plays, and then it'll do the little thing. But this movie kind of zoops up like there's nothing else, and I was like, I'm one of those weird people that like watching credits. So I always expand and watch it. There is a little nothing story wise, but there's a little extra little tidbit at the end
Mm.
there. I won't spoil what it is. But but yeah, definitely watch through the credits or fast forward until the very end and watch that little bit of extra. So if you did watch it on Max and didn't see that, you might want to go back and check it out.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was gonna a little Easter egg. I believe it was a 1932 Dobro resonator guitar, which is very pivotal, or it's very iconic in this movie. But I believe that's what. And correct me if I'm wrong. It made 300 300 plus million, 365 million
Yep.
at the box office.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, which I
Yeah.
think is the fifth most grossing horror film. Um,
Yeah.
and I was also going to say too, like you had mentioned, this score that is not reality. I mean, maybe for some, but if you pop it up another point 0.5 or 1, you're still in reasonable territory. I would feel,
Mhm.
but we don't really do
Mhm.
that score. We don't really do a score system. But anyway, shame
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. And the cool thing about horror is it's all inviting. There, a lot of genres are pretty strict on what you could do and how you do it. But with horror, it's all in. The fans of horror are willing to accept a lot of variations and various things, and this falls definitely within that umbrella. And also a lot of good horror movies have other elements in them. There's a lot of a lot of horror could be considered sci-fi or fantasy or whatnot, and this movie could be very much of a drama movie,
Hmm.
but it wears it proudly wears its horror elements on its sleeve as well. And like I said, there's some action in it as
Yep.
well.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
But
Has a little bit for everyone
Michael B.
too.
Jordan got to show his muscles a little bit in
Yeah.
the action.
I wouldn't say. I would say. I mean, it had a. I wouldn't say it. I would hesitate to say that it had romance in it. I don't think it really had that. I think it had
It
more
had
of the.
sex in it, but
Yeah,
yeah, a
but
lot less yeah, romance.
right. But there.
There
I
is
mean, you kind of saw the after effects of it, I suppose.
mhm.
But anyway, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, there's that initial sort of uh, the kind of romance you'd probably see in a club,
yeah, yeah.
the extent of it, yeah.
But there, I mean, there is that part, but there's also kind of like I'm not gonna say anything too much, but I'm just gonna kind of go back to the scene. Like this is kind of part of the ambiance of as the film develops. So it's like point blank clear what's going on and who that is. But it just again it adds to the theme of loss in this.
Mhm.
And we're all gonna lose something. It's just a matter again of time. But yeah, I don't want to spoil it too much
Mhm.
either. But
Yep.
yeah, I
Yep.
think. You think
Yep.
there's anything else that we missed about this,
Yep.
or saying?
Just that we're all sinners, but we just got to find our way in this world,
Right, right. Yep, yep.
Find what works, yeah, the I guess the only other little thing is that I really liked how the aesthetics of that church, and
Hmm.
evidently like the beams up there have little X's in it, sort of
Oh, hmm,
as tribute to Black Panther, I guess, over
oh,
there. But
interesting.
yeah, that was intentional. But yeah,
Cool.
visually it's a very stunning movie, a very beautiful movie, gory movie, but yeah, definitely visually pleasing. Sonically, the soundscapes of this movie are very enjoyable too, and the music is quite enjoyable.
Now you had some extra links here, sir. Did you not? Or were those for the other thing?
Oh no, yeah, this is for this one. Yeah, I was going to touch on physical media because I'm the physical media guy.
Absolutely.
Kino Lorber is doing a sale until July 21st,
That's awesome.
so you only have maybe a week, but
Good week.
well, a lot of quality titles there, not just horror, but you've got noir. You got some pretty old stuff.
Hmm.
There's a handful of movies that I'm interested in picking up.
American Ninja.
But the prices are very good. So
Very
if you
reasonable.
wanted, you could gotta scroll through there. But yeah, there's Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind on 4K on there is in there. It's a pretty. I think it's like $18. I was thinking about snatching that up.
That's
But
awesome.
that Babylon Berlin series,
Hmm.
kind of intrigued by that. That's streaming somewhere, so I might check it out to see.
Right on.
um, but yeah, just
Awesome.
yeah, if you're into physical media, take a look at that and see what. But also, Arrow has another their Camp Arrow, their summer camp sale. So there's a good mix of horror, action, and stuff in there. I'm really tempted to snatch up the sale on 4K, but that I think this sale goes through the end of July on this one. So definitely check that out. A lot of pretty good prices on various things. I know they had Dark City on 4K, but I think that's sold out.
Hmm.
I missed out on that, but yeah, a lot of cool stuff on
Cool.
there.
Cool.
So yeah, there's a couple of things I want to get from them as
Awesome.
well.
Awesome. Yeah. There's some good ones here. Giallo, Conan the Barbarian. Yeah, these another great shout out for physical media because you are the physical media dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're rolling up to the end here, so I guess we'll just really
Mhm.
kind of just do the main show here, plug, and just we want
Mhm.
to thank you if you recently came in off the street for one of Tom's shorts and you like what you see. We very much appreciate if you would like, comment, and subscribe. Want to give a shout out to Raleigh, who's a newer fan. Thanks for watching. Excuse me, and the like and comments that you have.
Mhm.
We'll be back next week, and I think we'll keep that one to the vest. And we'll also check out Wednesday. We might have something coming. We might send something through the time mail,
Mhm.
and for you to open up
Yep.
in the future. But
Yep.
with that being
Maybe
said,
something to binge, maybe? No. Yeah.
maybe, yeah, absolutely, yep. But I've been Mike.
And I'm Tom. Watch out for those vampires. And don't forget your steak.